Well, hey everybody, Jonathan Doyle with you once again. Thanks as always for stopping by for the daily message. So glad you could do this. Please make sure you've subscribed. Hit that subscribe button here. Hit the notification bell. It does make a big difference. And today, if you like the content, or you have questions, or there's a topic that you'd like me to cover, leave something here in the comments. It does make a big difference. I think the best content is always content generated by you guys with your questions. And finally, check out the notes here. Underneath, you'll see links to get free access to my book. You can book me to speak. You can find the podcast version. I will say today, I'm trying to keep the YouTube version short because the editing can take ages. If you saw yesterday's video, you can see I'm getting a bit fancy with some of the editing. But the podcast version today, I went really deep. So the link here will be under the podcast version if you like to listen that way. So go do that. All right, today I am responding to a really good listener question. This person is a senior educator at a very influential private school, high school. They do a fantastic job, and they asked me a question about the impact of COVID lockdowns and everything on young people. And they said that they are noticing a lot of problems with despondency, with young people who missed out on their rites of passage. Their education's been impacted. They've lost a lot of social connections. And do I have any ideas about what we can do about it? So if you want, like I said, the full depth version, hit the podcast, but I'm going to hit some of the high points here on the video. Totally get it. I totally understand why young people would be experiencing despondency. And what is that? Well, despondency is a form of learned helplessness. Most of you will be familiar with the psychological principle of learned helplessness, which originally came from experiments done on lab rats, where they would shock rats with a mild electric shock, and they'd give them ways to kind of turn the shock off, and then they would withdraw that. And what they discovered is that if rats had a sense of that they could actually stop the problem from happening, that they could have a sense of what we call agency, then they tended to be okay in the long term. The rats that in the other experiment couldn't turn the system off and kept whacking the lever, but they kept getting shocked, sort of eventually curled up into a ball, and they had this experience of what we call learned helplessness, which was simply that nothing that they did changed the circumstance. And I think this learned helplessness idea helps us understand a little bit of what young people are going through. And again, I want to extrapolate out into all our own lives, because we've all had experiences where we feel that nothing we do matters if our agency is taken away. So why bother, right? Like if you feel that you have no agency, that you have no control over external circumstances, and nothing you do will change that reality, then we end up in these incredibly despondent states. And I think understandably. So today's message is, what do we do when we experience those states and we feel like nothing we do matters or is going to change the reality? Underneath that as well is the philosophy of nihilism, which I think permeates so much of our culture. Nihilism is essentially a quasi-philosophical religious modality by which we would say there is no meaning or purpose to reality itself. There's no objective morality, there's no standards of right or wrong. Meaning is socially constructed. It's essentially a religion of pure power. The only thing that really matters in a nihilistic belief system is power itself and the ability to exercise power to gratify individual wants and needs. What's that got to do with today's question? I think permeating this experience of lockdown for young people, I think that the nihilistic project was already there. That for many young people, there was this kind of a nagging sense in the absence of organized religion that often structured or has structured meaning for thousands of years. There's a sense of, what is the purpose of all this anyway? We live in a very utilitarian world, that the meaning of my life is to study, is to get the highest grades possible, to get into the best courses possible, so I can get the best job possible, and then maximize my personal earning potential. Now, I know not everybody is utilitarian like that. There's still many young people that have a deep desire to serve and to find real meaning in their work. But I'm just exploring these as currents, both the lack of agency, the learned helplessness, and the nihilism that floats underneath it. Also, of course, for young people and for many of us, The loss of social contact in the lockdown process has had a profound impact. We are an extremely social species. Our flourishing in sort of planetary history has come from cooperation, belonging, cohesion. So this is kind of who we are. So what do we do? What I've talked about in the podcast is simply, I focused a lot on the work of Viktor Frankl, who survived Auschwitz, Jewish psychiatrist, whose phenomenal book, Man's Search for Meaning, helped us realize that whenever we are facing real adversity and despondency, there remains always one great freedom. He talked about this as what he calls the last of the human freedoms. The last of the human freedoms is simply the capacity to choose one's response in any given circumstance. Because he made the point that the Nazis could take everything from you. You could be wealthy, influential. If you're in a concentration camp, you lose everything. You lose your wealth, you lose your status, you lose your privacy, you lose everything you've ever had. You can have your clothes taken, you've got nothing. You can be beaten, starved, and left naked. But Frankl said there was always one freedom left, which was the capacity to choose our response in any given circumstance. So in his book, he makes the point that what he did was he had to find a meaning. He had to find a meaning. And the meaning that he found was simply that he would be a witness to what was happening, that he had been placed there as a witness, that he would survive, and that he would teach the world about all the things he had learned and seen so that this did not happen again. So amidst the hell of that circumstance, he found what? An empowering meaning. Because what happens most of the time when we're dealing with despondency and uncertainty is we move to blame, right? So we immediately move to this experience of, well, it must be somebody else's fault. These things have happened to me. Therefore, I am unable to act. I have no agency because somebody else caused this or did this. Frankl's saying we don't get that option. As much as it is a comfortable option, it is an understandable option, he says we must find an empowering meaning. He also makes the point that's really powerful. He says we must always realize at any given point that we are being questioned by life, that we are being questioned by life itself. It's a really interesting concept because sometimes it's easy to think that we are simply being punished by some weird cosmic forces that are out there to make our lives miserable. And if you believe that, then again, you're back to learned helplessness. If God's angry at you or the universe is just showering you with difficulties, then it's learned helplessness again. You can't push back against that. But he said, rather than thinking that life is punishing us, he said, always remember life is asking something of you. Life is questioning you. Life is asking you a question under the most difficult circumstances. So I look back, as I said a couple episodes ago, to my accident in 2019. I went from being completely normal to being almost dead in the space of a few seconds. Massive injuries to my body, long time in hospital, long recovery process. What was that, right? What was that? Some arbitrary thing? Did God do that to me? I'm never going to know the answer to that. What I can know is that within a few days, I was doing laps of the hospital ward trying to build my fitness. What I do know is that it's taught me an incredible respect for every 24-hour block that I get and a desire to live at 100% as often as I possibly can. So I look back at that and I don't go, what was that about? I look back at that and say, under the awful trauma of that experience, life offered me a gift. Life offered me a chance to grow, to learn, to be more grateful, to be more, focused on the people that I love and the things that I want to contribute. So I want to come back to this question and say, what is the response that young people should be making under this circumstance? And in a word, I'm going to say this. Well, firstly, before I tell you that, I'll just say acceptance. The first thing we always need to do in difficulty is the experience of acceptance. We need to accept what's happened. Because if we don't get to acceptance eventually, we live in bitterness and blame and we externalize stuff for way too long. But I think what I would say to young people then is this: revenge. You have to get revenge. And I want to tell you how you do it. The way that you get revenge on what's happened to you, on these difficulties and all that's been taken from you, is to find an empowering meaning and to live well. What you do is you go, yes, this happened. Yes, this was taken from me. Yes, I lost this. Why did it happen? It happened because life is asking me to become better than I might have otherwise become. Life is asking me to find an empowering meaning. Life is asking me to push harder, to grow more than I possibly would have had to grow if everything had been the way it was before. Now, we don't have to like it, but the revenge is to live well. The revenge is to, for these politicians and bureaucrats that have done so much harm and damage to so many of us, and particularly to so many young people. The revenge is to make something magnificent of your life. The revenge is to study harder, work harder, be more positive, organize more social interactions. That's why I keep saying we are not victims. Yes, social interaction was taken from us. So what do? Do we collapse into despondency, or do we go, yep, it's happened. I am going to double my social contacts. I have agency. I'm going to double my social contacts. I'm going to organize more things for my friends and I to meet up. I'm going to become the hub around which everybody else socializes. I'm going to invite people to things. I'm going to host events. I'm going to put on meals. I'm going to have people come round. I'm going to go crazy. That's how I live. I actually start to go, when stuff's bad, I go, right, this is not what I wanted, but I'm going to go ballistic to do something here. So I would say to young people, get revenge by massive proactivity. Get revenge by becoming a better version of yourself than you ever thought you could possibly become. I'm serious. Stop empowering blame. Stop empowering other people's power over you. Take your power back and make something incredible of your life. And we could apply this exactly the same concept to all of us that have experienced loss, trauma, abuse, difficulty. Revenge isn't to spend the rest of your life in trauma and pain. Revenge is to accept and to integrate your suffering and then to make something magnificent out of it. I think God is watching us. He is saying, right, this is what's happened. He didn't wish it upon us. He didn't cause it to happen. He may have allowed it to happen. But life is questioning us. God is looking for us to step up and to grow and to make something fantastic of our lives. That's how you get revenge. And the last thing would be, if you feel stuck in despondency, then try service. I'm a big believer in this. Try serving people. One of the fastest ways out of low states is to go and love and serve people, especially when we don't feel like it. So I would say to every young person who gets to watch this, or every parent, I'd say find a way for your kids to serve. Find a way, young people, if you're watching this, if you just finished in high school or you've lost a lot, go and find a way to serve. Go and find a way to encounter the pain of other people, the loneliness of other people, the isolation of elderly people or other people who are suffering in some way. Find a way to serve. The fastest way out of despondency is to serve people. Woo! If you want more, if you actually want more of this, check out the podcast version today. I went off the reservation. I think they want us to stay weak. They want us to stay in blame. They want us to stay like sheep. They want us to stay full of, there's the enemy, it's this person, it's that system, it's this system. They want us to forget our agency. We are incredibly powerful. Viktor Frankl was immensely powerful at the exact moment that all his power was stripped. He found a way to recover his power by finding a meaning and then channeling that into something magnificent for others. That's the secret sauce. All right, if you haven't subscribed, I got to say this. What's wrong with you? Seriously, come on, subscribe, do it. Share this with some people. Leave a comment. Go and check out the things, the description notes. Get a free copy of my book. Book me to come and speak. Do that. Go check out these notes. Subscribe. God bless you, everybody. My name's Jonathan Doyle. This has been The Daily Message, and I'm going to have another one for you tomorrow.